Check this out. This is a gasoline lighter made back in 1912 from a famous Austrian brand. Given its current condition, there is no way it will light up. So for this episode, we are following this restoration expert who is taking it apart to give it a perfect restoration so it can light up again. Looking at this striker wheel in terrible shape, the man can only say goodbye to that. Now on this 100-year-old Austrian lighter, the best design feature has to be this flint pin that comes out when taken apart. Too bad though, the spring here has lost its tension, so that has to go. That pin is not in great shape either. Not sure if it can still be used. Why is it the best design? Because in most early lighters, changing the flint was a real pain. You had to unscrew a screw. Be careful the spring doesn't fly out. Then line it up and push it in. But this one is different. The spring and pin are made as one separate piece. When you put a new flint in, the pin slides forward with the spring, like pushing a bullet into a gun chamber. This design is not only simple and reliable, but also pretty fun to use. So now, the man has finished taking everything apart. Next up, he will use this 10% citric acid to chemically remove the rust from the lighter parts. After letting them soak for a while, for the parts that went through the acid rust removal, baking soda is needed to neutralize them. Of course, this basic baking soda solution is also a good cleaner, so don't waste it. You can use it with steel wool like this to give them a good scrub. Now all the rust and grime are gone from the lighter, and we can see, on the outside of the main body, there are still plenty of flaws. This calls for the classic technique of sanding it smooth to take care of that. Oh right, the recessed area in the middle of the lighter body is for storing spare flints, but it is missing a cover. As for the shape of this lighter, doesn't it look kind of like a glycerin suppository? Now that the body is done, next up is the fuel chamber lid. This lid originally had a chain ring, but now all that's left are some solder marks. So, the man needs to remove the leftover solder, and then solder a new ring onto this lid. And this ring is not something you can buy ready-made. He needs to cut it from a piece of copper tube. After roughly cutting it out, it needs shaping and the edges need sanding. To make it easier to shape and solder, the ring only needs to be about 2/3 of a full circle, so it looks something like this, kind of like a horseshoe. Then he can use a sweat soldering method to attach this horseshoe ring. Here he uses tweezers to put the solder and the ring in place. Oh wait a minute, aren't those tweezers made of plastic? Won't they melt from the heat? Once the soldering is done, the man does this, using citric acid to gently clean off any leftover flux. Finally, he uses a rotary tool to polish the lid to a smooth finish. So, this fuel chamber lid that was missing its chain ring is now fixed up. Next up is the snuffer cap. After removing the two leftover chain rings because of its shape, he can use a drill to help with sanding it smooth. Here the man goes from 320 grit up to 1000 grit. After that it also needs a high gloss polish. Oh, and these rings that were taken off will get the same treatment. So next, let's bring in the first victim for this restoration, Mr. Pocket Watch. He will contribute his chain for this restoration. Of course we only need a piece of it. Nothing too long. It should be fine. This chain will connect the snuffer cap and the fuel chamber lid to keep them from getting lost. As for the flint pin here, since it is in bad shape, it cannot be used anymore. So, the man will take this rod that is 2.3 millimeters thick and sand it down to 1.8 millimeters to make a brand new pin. Now that he has the main rod for the pin, the front end of the rod needs this little block to hold the spring in place and push against the flint. Here he uses sweat soldering again to attach this block. As for the spring, the man couldn't find one the exact right size, so he has to modify it using this Zippo spring he has. After doing this, it will work, but getting it back to its original tension is pretty much impossible. But if he follows up with a low temperature tempering, it can get most of it back. Next, the man needs to make a new ball end for the back of this pin which is missing. He uses some spare parts for this to modify. After cutting off the extra parts, the man drills a 2 mm threaded hole into this ball end. The reason for using a thread here, instead of silver soldering like before, is simple. It makes it easier to put together and take apart for maintenance. But the ball end is still a bit too big. It needs more sanding and shaping to make it smaller. Now that the ball end has threads, the pin rod itself needs matching threads cut using a die. This bolt he found here will be used to make a new bolt for the striker wheel. Once the new bolt is made, everyone polish all the parts again to get a uniform look. Then it's on to the next step, which is plating for protection. After polishing, first is an electrochemical treatment using direct current and an alkaline electrolyte. Through electrolysis, any oil or grease on the metal surface and oxide residue are stripped away. Then an acid solution is used for pickling to increase the surface energy, making it easier for the next coating to stick. Finally, seeing this green solution, you can probably guess this is for nickel plating. As for why there are so many bubbles, it acts like stirring to improve the overall plating quality. But there are too many bubbles here, a bit less would be better. So next, the man will use CNC machining to make the missing nameplate cover. These lines here, layer by layer, are nothing special, just the toolpath. Planning out a good path makes the final machined edges cleaner, the letters without burrs, and the design sharper. Alright, here comes the second victim of this video. The man is going to use the bottom part of a Zippo lighter, the case, to machine out the missing nameplate cover. Once the machining is done, this nameplate cover needs a little shaping and polishing. Next, to add some depth to the lettering, the man applies this dark patina chemical to the letters. It reacts slightly with the metal surface, forming a dark oxide layer to darken the letters and make them stand out. Then cover the lettering part with tape and polish it. This removes the excess oxide and makes the surrounding area brighter to really make the letters pop. So once everything is ready, now it's time for the final assembly. Putting this lighter together is easy for anyone, super simple. Finally, add fuel, and this 114-year-old Austrian Treasure brand gasoline lighter is officially restored. So that wraps up this restoration video. Thanks for watching.